lately I've been watching. Have you guys watched the movie Touched by an Angel or Harlem Nights, or The Royal Family? I haven't seen The Royal Family, but I have seen Harlem Nights. And if you've watched any three of those movies, you are familiar with Miss Della Reese. Okay, Miss Della Reese. She is an actor. She was an actor. She actually passed away a couple of years ago. Um, but she is a very well-known actor, Miss Della Reese. Um, and Miss Della Reese, she became a minister for the Lord in her older age, in her older years, in her later years. Okay, and after her acting and all that, and I believe so. I think that's how it was. And she devoted her life to ministry to share her wisdom. Okay, and she shared her story along her time of ministry, of ministering of the ministering the word of God, and along with telling her story and how God worked in her life. Okay, and as you know anything about Della Reese, you know that she was a very, 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 very profound, known, popular actor. Okay, here in the United States. Okay, um, and so I want to share with you today what she shared with me. Okay, and when I say with me, I watched her videos, and whoever watches the video, she's sharing her life with you. Okay, I don't know Miss Della Reese, but I came across a gym maybe a couple of weeks ago, and I came across her YouTube channel, and her YouTube channel is her ministry. On this YouTube channel, she uses it for her ministry, and she has some really good wise words to share. I would really encourage you to go check her out on YouTube, Miss Della Reese. Okay, so from the last couple of weeks, I've been watching Miss Della Reese and listening to Miss Della Reese and getting to understand what she was talking about. She, I picked up one of her stories, which was very inspiring to me, and I want to share it with you today. So, Miss Della Reese, uh, former actor, now deceased, um, she shared this really cool story about her mom and her dad. Okay, and she said that you know way back in the day when she was a child, her mom would do something very, very particular, and she didn't understand it, and she actually thought her mom was a witch because she didn't understand what she was doing. And I'm gonna tell you in a minute what she was doing. And so she said that when she was young, she thought like a child. She didn't know what was really going on, right? And then as she got older, she still had not yet implemented what her mom was doing. But then when the time came, she decided, I remember what my mom was doing. Now it's time to implement it. And she said, oh, I think we have company. But that's not going to stop me. Hey, anywho, she said that, um, her mom, distractions, y'all, distractions. She said that her mom, um, see how distractions, they distract you. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so okay, cool. So she said that her mom was doing things that she didn't understand. Anyway, as Delarice grew older, she started to remember things that her mom was doing, and she implemented those things. And I'm gonna share with you what that was. But she said that when she began to implement those things, her life had changed. Her life had changed for the better. Okay, and she gives all the credit to God. Okay. So here is what her mom did. She said, Miss Della Reese said that when she was a young girl, her mom was very poor. Okay, her dad was he worked at a steel, I guess a steel mill, a steel factory, and his job was to pour the concrete. Okay, and he did this for many, many, many years. As she would say, he did this for too long. Okay, he actually worked at this concrete place for up until the age of 75 years old. And at that time, they decided that his job was not fit for a human being, it was fit for a machine. So just imagine how hardworking her father was. Okay. She also shared that her mom would do things to help to pay the rent along with her father. Like she would clean other people's houses, she was a maid. She would do little things here and there to help her father to provide. Okay. Even though he had a job, he worked until he was 75, they were still struggling. They were poor. Okay. Um, she said that her mom, when her mom would get all of the money together, okay, all the money from the father, from the work that she had done, she would gather all the money. And she said that she had this little can that she would hide. And that was like her little bank. And just remember, Miss Della Reese, she grew up way back. You know, she was a very older lady when she died. I think she was in her 80s when she passed away. So she lived a full life, and she got to live a long time. But she was in her 80s. So this is way back in the day. So her mom didn't have a bank account. She had a can. Okay. And in this can, she would um there's one thing she would do in particular, and that was she would put aside God's part from the can. And she would put aside the money for the bread for the week. And she would put aside, etc. Okay. And so um when the mother would do these things, Miss Della Reese, she thought it was weird. She thought her mom was a witch. That's what she said, okay? She said, I thought my mom was a witch. I didn't know what she was doing. She would put aside God's part, and she would put aside the bread, and you know. And she said the reason that her mom did this particular thing, which was she would put aside God's part, some people would call it tithing, okay? Her mom called it God's part, okay? And she said the reason she did that was because she wanted God to help her. She wanted God to help her husband, who was working so hard at the steel mill pouring concrete. Again, this guy didn't stop, didn't end his job until age 75 pouring concrete. Okay. And they said, like I said before, they said that this job was not fit for a human being. So you can only imagine how much of a physical, hard working man he was. And Miss Della Reese's mother was hardworking too, because she worked as well, so that they can provide and have the things that they needed. Okay, so she would put aside God's part because she wanted God to help her. Okay, and she wanted God to help her husband, who was working so hard. Okay, so that's what she did. Now, as Miss Della Reese grew older, she said that she became a singer, and she got her first big check. And she said that when she got that check, as time went on, the money started to run out. And she was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Um, and she said she remembered what her mom did way back in the day when she was a child. And she remembered that her mom would put aside God's part first. Okay. And she told God, Miss Della Reese said, I talked to God. I told God, I said, God, if you can help me out, I guess to make a deal with the Lord. Lord, if you help me out, I need to pay my rent. She said she didn't have no rent money. Okay. She had blew the money that she had, I guess by just for, everyday expenses, rent, food. You know how that goes. If you pay your own way, you know how that goes. And um, she, you know, she needed help. So she went to God and she said, God, if you give me another chance, I will pay you your part. Okay, I will pay you your part. Okay, off the top. Okay, and she said she said that her neighbor had a baby and the baby needed milk, and she said that she gave the woman money for the milk, right? And then Miss Delareese went on to say that that seed that she sowed into that woman, that money that she gave that woman, it came back tenfold. And she said that she got paid again. She got paid again. Okay. She got another check. Okay. She got another opportunity. Okay. And she said that, no. She said, this is how Ms. Del Reese said it. She said that after her giving that money to that woman for the baby that needed milk, she said almost immediately somebody came to her and said, you need a job? We got a job out in the mountains singing. You want it? You got it. And she said that when she said that was God. She said that was God. And she said that when she started working out in the mountains, what they would do is they would say, honey, would you sing for so and so? It's their birthday or whatever. And they would press $100 in her hand and she would sing. And she said when she would go back to her room and count her money, she realized, it dawned on her that that was God. And she said from that money that she gave the lady that needed milk for her baby, that blessing blessed her. She got paid from helping God's people. She got paid from helping her neighbor. The Lord says to treat people how you want to be treated. That's what she did. And she said that the Lord blessed her. He gave her a job. She was making good money. And she said from that point on, she started to implement what her mother taught her way back in the day, which was to put aside God's part, right? Okay. So with all that, okay, the point here that I want you to get and that I had to get was that little that little money that Delareese's mom was putting aside, because they wasn't making that much money. It was barely making it, okay? But that little seed, that was a mustard seed that her mom sown, right? That mustard seed that her mother sown and gave to the Lord, that little seed of faith that if I give God's part, God's going to take care of me. It grew into a mustard seed. Delareese was the mustard. She was the tree. She became the tree. And this is how I see it. She became the tree. Here you are. You have this poor little girl living with a poor father, mother, not poor in spirit, of course, because her mother had some sense. She knew something, but poor in financial gain. Okay, came to become a singer, well-known actor, then a minister. She represents that tree. She represents that tree. And one thing that Delarie shared that really put it together for me is as far as how it relates to the parable of the mustard seed is how does Delaree's story relate to the parable